What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so one of the biggest criticisms of modern day sports talk, social media, content creators on social media, mainstream sports news outlets, TV, pundits, whatever. One of the biggest criticisms is that we focus too much on championships. That championship trumps stellar individual play. Like if a person has a Hall of Fame career, person has a Hall of Fame career. If that person, if that player, failed to win a championship, somehow his career is a failure. Whereas a role player who happens to sign up to great teams, championship level teams, and he wins multiple championships, come to the bench, even though other players are doing most of the heavy lifting, because of ring culture, some people will actually rate that player higher than the great individual player. And I do notice it, and I do have a problem with it to a great extent. Now, I do believe that the players who were both great and won championships based upon that greatness, because championships does require a little bit of luck, patience, and talent. But luck does involve it, because sometimes there have been injuries that have derailed great careers or what could have been great partnerships. All right? One of the players who has a problem with the current ring culture of today is Carmelo Anthony. All right? Now, of course, Carmelo Anthony played, I think, about 19 years in the NBA, recorded something like 28,000 plus points, won a scoring title, was able to reinvent himself after the media tried their best to bury his career. They tried to kill his career. But this is what he had to say. He said, quote, "I just think that the mindset has shifted tremendously when it comes to ring culture," said Anthony via Complex. I think it was an interview. Like, there's no way that guys who haven't won the ring should still get the credit that they deserve. Barkley is who he is. We are who we are. So because we didn't get to win an NBA championship, we shouldn't get credit? Like we should just be dismissed on everything? So I would always kind of agree with that, but as far as ring culture, I think people understand that not everybody can win it. Yeah, I mean, I try to make this argument all the time. Like, yes, Bill Russell's the greatest winner, but do we really think that Bill Russell would have won all those titles if he played post 1977 with free agency? Nope. Especially today, with all of this pro player league, do we really think that Bill Russell would have won all those championships? And I'll also say this: I've always made the argument that you could have switched Bill Russell with, I'd say, Nate Thurman, and they probably still would have won just as many titles. I mean, Bill Russell was a great defensive player. Nate Thurman was almost as good a defender, stronger, a little bit bigger than Bill Russell. Was a better offensive player, a little bit better offensive player than Bill Russell. So I can make an argument that they might have won 11 or maybe even 12 or 13 titles. It's hard to lose when you have the best point guard in the NBA, the best clutch, well, one of the top 2-3 clutch players in the NBA, and Sam Jones, the best point guard of your era in Bob Cousy, the best shooter of your era in Bill Sharman, the best overall, perhaps two-way player in the NBA for many years in John Havlicek, and a clutch performer in Bill and him. Havlicek. Then you also on the team, you have an offensive force in Tom Heinsohn, who can get you 18 and 11 on any given night. Then you have Tom Satch Sanders. I mean, those teams were loaded. But that wouldn't have been the case in the 70s, late 70s, and 80s and beyond. It's the reason why that Knicks team was so great in the late 60s and early 70s. They wouldn't be able to have a team like that later on. You wouldn't have been able to have all those guys on one team. You wouldn't have a team with Willis Reed and Dave DeBusschere and Bill Bradley and Walt Clyde Frazier and Earl of Pearl Monroe on one team, then Jerry Lucas come off the bench. Come on. It's not going to happen today. So I got respect for Bill Russell, man. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Now, I will say this about Carmelo. There's some people are going to bring up, what about when you chose the bag in 2010 over trying to do something special in Miami? Well, look, I mean, that's on him. He wanted to make the money. Who's it to say that it would have worked with Carmelo playing with them? But at the end of the day, I do basically agree with what Carmelo's saying, man. I think championships have become way too much of the equation. They should be part of the equation, but they're becoming way too much. I mean, my goodness, man, it's getting to a point where people are having serious debates about putting role players in the Hall of Fame because they have titles. I love Robert Horry, bro. I do. Robert Horry, one of the clutch performers in the 90s. But he's not a Hall of Famer, man. He didn't put in enough work during the regular season, because the last half of Robert Horry's career, he was coasting during the regular season just to be able to step his game up in the playoffs. Now, I understand that mindset, but you can't be coasting during the regular season. You know what I'm saying? Going through the motions, bored, whatever. You're not putting up those dominating performances, and then playing with all these superstars. Whether it's Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, or Shaq and Kobe, or Tim Duncan, Ron Ginobili, Tony Parker. You can't play with all these guys and, you know what I'm saying, you hit a couple of big shots and now all of a sudden you're in the Hall of Fame. Nah, don't work like that. At least it shouldn't. But yeah, man. At the end of the day, Carmelo Anthony is the first ballot Hall of Famer. If you watch this man play, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer. He should have won Rookie of the Year over LeBron James, but it was some politics. And one of the great what ifs is what if the Detroit Pistons, as should have been the case, what if they had drafted Carmelo Anthony in 2003, which they should have. But I think the NBA wanted to go a Bird versus Magic route, with Carmelo being like maybe the Bird player and LeBron the Magic guy, because they always kept saying, oh, LeBron's a triple-double waiting to happen. But anyway, that's my take on this, man. Tell me what you guys think.